Local residents will soon feel the financial pinch of a number of new taxes imposed by the current interim government in hopes of boosting revenue. The new tolls will produce nearly $6 million in new income for the government, said officials from the Office of the Revenue Control Unit. And while some of the amendments were in effect since October 1st, 2009, others will be imposed as early as November 1st. In a notice placed in one local publication informing businesses and the resident community, it states that, quote, all businesses, individuals are advised to make the relevant amendments where necessary to comply with the legal requirements. Persons uncertain of their position should consult the offices of the Revenue Control Unit of the Ministry of Finance, end quote. It was the news most were dreading from the day it was announced that direct rule from the United Kingdom was imminent. The move has already been met with contention from disgruntled locals who feel that augmenting current taxes or adding new ones will negatively affect the current financial climate of the Turks and Caicos. However, when News 4 spoke with Revenue Controller Henry Saunders, the official hinted to the possibility that more taxes could be on the threshold for the Turks and Caicos community.
But we are contemplating some other revenue-raising measures that are being put forward by a number of government departments. They're not formalized or nothing as yet, but they're still being brainstormed. They're still being consulted with various sectors in the industry and whatnot. For instance, we may be looking at the communication sector in terms of maybe increasing the tax in that area. We're looking at the immigration side, where visas and passports and work permits and all these other fees, registration and what have you, we may be reviewing them to see if we could increase that. There's in the business licensing sector, we're looking at reviewing the rates there. Also in customs, again, we're looking at some of the syntax items, the luxury items or whatever, revising the tariffs. So we're contemplating a number of measures to be going forward with, but we want to do it with consultation with the various communities and the various sectors that are affected by it.
In respect to the money transfer levy ordinance, the notice shows that, quote, transfer levy rate 10% of the total amount of the operator's fee paid or payable by or in respect of the customer with a cap ceiling of $50 per any transaction, end quote. This new legislation will come into effect as of November 1st. An amendment was made to the customs service charge as of October 1st, quote, a customs service charge at the rate of 2.5% of the value of goods imported, end quote. The hotel and restaurant taxation ordinance amendment showed that there was a, quote, increase in the rate of tax from 10% to 11%.
There's a number of developments that goes on that has a sort of concessionary element to it in terms of the developer having certain concessionary rights or so, privileges or so. For those types of transactions, there seems to be quite a number of administrative costs. It is not a duty cost involved.
There was also an amendment made to the gaming machines ordinance, quote, increase in gross gaming yield on slot machines earnings from 30% to 35%.
Presently, you have these machines in the country, and they're all over the place, right? The owners of these machines, and in terms of its assessment of the drop that government collects, they presently collect 30%, right? This is a profitable venture because it's a lucrative one, and it has very little overheads towards the operators or so.
At present, customs is the leading revenue generator for the Turks and Caicos Islands government, bringing in about 45% of the country's revenue, which stems from duties and other charges associated with customs due to the amount of importation activity, said officials from the Revenue Control Unit. Another 15 to 18% of the government's finances comes from immigration-associated fees, 10% of the government's funds from licensing fees, and 5% comes from other fees and charges.